artists, and welcome to day 34 of the epic journey, a huge epic journey in which I intend to bring you 365 lessons in 365 days. That's quite a mean feat. And I know you're asking yourself, what is she getting out of this? Well, the answer is a big fat zero, except of course maybe that this whole exercise is helping me to learn my videography skills, and I'm getting feedback from you guys, which is always data that I could not get any other way. So for you guys, it's free, and enjoy it and share it and whatever else you do with it. Thank you so much for being with me on this epic journey. I'm DaleneFM, and today we're going to be discussing negative space.
There's no going back. You can do what you wanna do.
Space and scale are in fact two different things and can be used independently of one another, but of course they can be used together. Now, we'll deal with them one at a time, and then we'll go and have a look and see how they can be used together. The image that you've got in front of you now is something that I'm sure you've seen. It's a typical image of how we describe negative space. For example, are we looking at two profiles, blue profiles looking at one another, or are we looking at a white vase and a blue background? Now, there's a lot of artists that use negative space very cleverly. This is a Japanese artist that uses negative spaces to create a really great little composition where we've got the negative spaces between the fingers which are forming the wings. Very attractive little painting. This is a nice example as well of negative spaces where you've got negative spaces that are creating the sky. And here we've got a nice surrealistic example of how negative spaces can be more than one object. Here too, we've got some negative spaces that are creating the creatures on the map of Africa. Very clever. That's not exactly what I wanted to talk to you today. That is one way to use negative space. That is probably the most obvious way that we think of negative space. But here we've got a little drawing that is, the negative spaces actually create the positive image, which is also terribly clever. A bit like a mask. But now I want to talk about how negative space and scale can work together. This is a painting by Dennis Farris. Beautiful little painting that's showing us the sheer scale of the walls of this almost canyon that we're looking through here. But there's also so much space in this painting. So the scale of those walls, as well as the wide open sky, gives us a sense of majesty. This is a nice little one here because this is a good use of space and scale. Now, this entire sky area one could refer to as negative space. Although, you know, it's not negative space in that sense of the word. It is negative space in that it doesn't hold a lot of elements. There's just open space being conveyed. And what's helping us to understand the scale of this painting is the fact that we've got small elements. Little people, little horse, little boat. All these small elements down the bottom of here actually help us to understand quite how big that sky really is. Now, if you think back to when we were doing the elements and principles of art, we did one lesson on scale where we had a ball with this little small man and a big cat, and it showed us how big that ball was. But this is how it actually works in practicality, where these small elements down the bottom of here are actually helping to convey to the viewer the sheer majesty of the mountains in the background. This is a really good negative space painting as well, where all this negative space here in the sky helps us to understand the big open space of the sky above the little landscape. Now this is a nice example as well, because what the artist has done here is used a very common element that we can all associate with in the trees. We get a very good idea of the size of what those trees would be. I mean, some trees are small, some trees are big, but these are obviously large trees. And it's a low-lying landscape well down at the bottom edge of the painting, which gives us a very, very good sense of quite how big that sky is above the artwork. So again, it gives us a sense of majesty and wide open space. The same thing is happening in this little painting where we've got small elements laid low down on the canvas that give us a big open sky and a nice sense of majesty and wide open spaces. These are just a couple of examples of how one can use negative space and scale to convey the sheer size of the subject that you're actually painting, and it works really, really well with landscape, and of course, as we looked at the earlier examples of surrealistic work. Scale is the element that is probably most commonly used to describe a sense of awe, a sense of majesty, a sense of big. You know, if you have a look at a lot of the old masters' landscapes, you've got lots of small, I'm thinking particularly of a constable, lots of small elements in the foreground and big distance and wide open spaces conveyed by the emptiness of the skies. That was a quick lesson of how negative space can be used for your surrealistic work, and how scale can be used for creating a sense of awe and majesty in your landscapes. I hope that helped you. Please like and share and do all the other social media things, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.
That's what you want to do.